Cardinals, a win yesterday. Hanley and the Fish getting set to go. Mike Pelfrey on the mound for the New York Mets. Alberto Mendez going for the Fish. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton for the Marlins. A much-needed win yesterday.
Oh, absolutely. After a six-game losing streak and with the Cardinals coming in for that makeup game. But it all happened because of a great outing of Chris Volstad. A complete game shutout. Throwing a grand slam, hey, that's a good winning formula.
Neither of these teams are going to the postseason. So, Tommy Hutton, what do the Marlins play for in the next 13 games?
You have incentives. I think as a team, you'd like to finish over 500. That's one thing. And then individually, Dan Uggla, I'm sure, would like to get to 100 RBIs. Logan Morrison, who has that streak of 39 consecutive games where he's reached base. If he runs the table, it'll be 52 consecutive games. Gabby Sanchez would like to finish strong and have a solid rookie season. So individually, there's some things, too.
Here's the schedule for the Marlins. And to finish over 500, the Marlins have to finish 8-5, and it starts tonight, these 13 games.
Throw this in, too. You'd like to finish ahead of the Mets. And I'm sure the Mets would like to finish ahead of the Marlins. So a little incentive for this two-game series.
All right, here's your starting matchup tonight, starting pitchers tonight. Alberto Mendez going for the Fish. Mike Pelfrey has pitched very well for the Mets this year, but in his career, he's not pitched well against the Marlins.
Pelfrey against the Marlins just 1-6 and a 5.79 ERA. 15 wins, 10 of those have been at home, though. He's only won 5 games on the road with an ERA over 5. Mendez has to be a little more consistent than he was in his last time out.
You know, another thing dawned on me looking at that calendar. There are only 2 more Email Tuesdays left on the schedule, including tonight. It's Email Tuesday, folks. The Mets and the Marlins ready to go. Fire up the laptop. Here we go. Starting pitching 2011. We'll talk to future Craig. He'll go in and take a look. Email of the night is from Jeremiah in Miami Gardens, and it is who will be in the Marlins starting rotation in 2011. And it just so happens we've got 2 gentlemen in nice black golf shirts ready to answer that question right now. Guys?
I'll take the first couple. JJ, Ricky, Annabelle. Go ahead, Niner.
Those are the slam dunks. Those are the easy ones. Well, you've seen at the end of this year there going to be some kind of auditioning going on. Chris Volstad made a great case yesterday to see how he finishes up for vying for that 4th and 5th spot in the rotation next year. I'm going to throw in a dark horse. I think Clay Hensley might, if they decide to bring him back, might be vying for that 5th spot. I know in spring training this year he had an excellent spring as a starter. He's been a starter, wants to be a starter, so we'll see how that all plays out.
Sanabia has done very well, maybe even beyond expectations so far. He's been terrific. Mendez has shown some signs in a surprising fashion, taking advantage of opportunity. West only had 2 starts. He had the injury bug, and he's a lefty. And Miller obviously has been disappointing so far. The Marlins would like nothing more than Miller to go down the drain, not down the drain, which he's been going lately, but to really finish strong and make a case for them to bring him back because they want a lefty in there somewhere. Would they go potentially with 5 righties?
Yes, I think they're going to go with whoever's pitching the best and who's ever got a best chance to give them victories. And as you've seen with Miller's struggles and Sean West's struggles, you don't have to have a lefty in there. You'd like to, but you don't have to, and I think they're going to go with whoever's pitching the best.
And then the other question is there a guy out there, maybe a veteran, somebody who's had some innings who might be in line for a mentor or maybe a number 5 type role too? And you never know what changes you could make. You could make a trade and take one of your good chips and trade it to pick up another chip, maybe a catcher. Those things all could be in the works. When they're all healthy, the Marlins have some depth, but as they've shown this year, but you can't have enough pitching because they've gone through a record amount this year, either in the pen or starting.
Well, but unfortunately, up until about June, they were the least amount of starters. I think they had their original 5
good run,
up to the beginning of June. And now the second half has been a very odd year as far as injuries and suspensions and all that stuff goes. So we'll see how it plays out next year.
When you start losing your hitting coach, you're picking up the platform. Poor John Maley, I hope you're going to get better. He's going to have surgery. Is it a bicep?
Bicep tendon, ripped it right off the bone.
Unbelievable. Picking up the platform here at the end of batting practice. Best to John Maley. It's been that kind of year. Second half, the injury bug biting a few too many times here in South Florida. Hey, we're ready for game 1 of this 2-game series. Pelfrey goes for his 16th, Mendez for his 2nd. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton are getting set for the call as these 2 teams meet for the 17th time in 2010. Next.
Getting ready to face the New York Mets for the first time in his career. Jose Reyes, Angel Pagan, Carlos Beltran all lined up. And a good fastball for a strike. Vic Carapazza, a rookie umpire, is behind home plate for this one. Mendez, 3rd start in the big leagues, and his first start against a team that's not the Phillies. He misses outside. It's 1-1.
Yeah, so you have most of the Met hitters seeing Alberto Mendez for the very first time. I'm sure some along the way, maybe in the minor leagues, maybe winter ball have crossed paths, but not too often.
And not as a starter, mostly as a reliever. Almost his entire career as a reliever. Breaking ball misses down low. Reyes coming in at 284. The Mets were swept at home by the Braves, and that snapped a 4-game win streak going into Friday. Liner to center. Hey, look who's out there. It's Scott Cousins. We'll meet the defense in a moment. First, let's meet the Mets and greet the Mets. Reyes lines out. Angel Pagan has had a very solid season. He hits second. Carlos Beltran's back. He's in center. David Wright, another big year. And, of course, he always hits the Marlins well. Ike Davis, for a rookie year, very, very nice. He and Gabby Sanchez, a little bit behind Gabby. Lucas Duda, the big dude from USC. Josh Tolley is the catcher. Ruben Tejada hits 8th. And that ball is lifted in the air off the bat of Pagan. Chad Tracy. And now it's defense time. Tommy?
Well, we love to do that, give you lineups and defense here in the first inning. Morrison, Scott Cousins getting the start in center, Mike standing right. Tracy and Gabby at the corners, Hanley back in the lineup after missing a few games. And Mr. Grand Slam, Brad Davis behind the plate.
Here is Beltran standing next to Mr. Grand Slam. Beltran, of course, coming back from the microfracture surgery about a month ago. Marlon saw him when he came back, and it has not been as productive a Beltran as we're used to seeing. Carlos with his 4 homers, 23 driven in, hitting just .237. But, of course, a guy that's had a great career, and he hits that one well. Cousins glides back and makes the catch. And a very nice start for Adalberto Mendez. Email Tuesday. We'll throw the first one out. Scoreless ball game. Here come the Fish. Marlins a game under at 74 and 75. Scott Cousins getting a start in center field, and he's leading off. Logan Morrison in left up to the 2 spot. Hanley's back in the lineup. Ugla hits cleanup, and he hits Mike Pelfrey well. Gabby Sanchez at first. Chad Tracy, Mike Stanton, and the hero yesterday, Brad Davis. One swing, all the runs. A grand slam. Adalberto Mendez hits 9th.
Well, we've talked about Mike Pelfrey, who has been tremendous at Citi Field in New York, 10-3 and a 2.87 ERA, but on the road 5-6 and an ERA over 5. A lot of sinkers. If he's on his game, you'll see ground ball outs.
Here is Cousins with Emilio Bonifacio still nursing at the sore hamstring. Chance to give Cousins a start with the left-handed bat against the right-hander Pelfrey. Fastball, ground ball, up the middle. That's where Reyes is playing it. And he throws him out. Defensively, here are the Mets.
All right, there are a couple of different names. How about Lucas Duda in left field? Beltran and Pagan. Wright and Reyes, no strangers over there. Ruben Tejada. Ike Davis having a solid rookie season. Josh Tolley behind the plate.
Jerry Manuel, the skipper of the Mets. Is this the last week and a half or 2 weeks in his run in his 3rd season as the Mets manager. Lots of offseason questions for both of these teams. Pelfrey throws a strike to Lomo. Logan Morrison, 39 consecutive reaching base. Morrison on base yesterday, and he's 3 shy of Mark Teixeira's 42, and that's the longest run this year in terms of getting on base consecutive games. Lomo was 1 for 3 with a walk yesterday. Pelfrey's out in front 0-2, and the big guy's throwing hard. And that would be strike 3.
Boy, all fastballs, and Lomo could not get the bat off the shoulders. Good movement. That's a trademark of Mike Pelfrey.
To send us an email question, go to foxsportsflorida.com, click on the Marlins icon, and then click on Ask the Announcers, or askthemarlins@fox.com is the actual email address. Either way, you can get to us. Hanley steps in against Pelfrey. Hanley playing with that brace on the left elbow, which has been sore. And we'll see how he swings it to start out. Pelfrey with a fastball that misses up.
Yeah, last time Hanley played 6 days ago on the 15th against the Phillies.
Ceremonial first in-game email.
Get it out quickly. Pelfrey's throwing strikes.
Dennis in Miami. Last Friday you mentioned about the football lights at Sun Life Stadium. Morrison lost a fly ball in the 2nd inning. What exactly is the difference between football lights and baseball stadium lights? And if you check out Marlins.com, Joe Frisaro wrote a nice article not only about these lights, but the lights in the new stadium. These lights are a lot higher than most baseball stadiums because it's a football stadium, it's a higher structure. As well, they're kind of placed in a different spot. And so for left fielders, and for years Josh Willingham had a devil of a time, especially this time of night. Those lights that you see right there are right up where all the fly balls end up in the view of a left fielder. 1-2 pitch coming to Hanley. Ground ball out to Reyes. And he makes the play. Hanley bounces out. Both pitchers go 1-2-3. We're underway and scoreless. Marlins and mermaids, vendors, ushers. David Wright, Adalberto Mendez, and our crack staff is here tonight on an Email Tuesday. First pitch, ground ball base hit. David Wright has had a very solid year amidst all the injuries and the misery that the Mets have had. Wright has kept his head up and been productive.
I think the key for him is that he's had a rebound year from his low production numbers of last year. Last year, 10 home runs, 72 RBIs, but he's 6 RBIs away from 100 right now.
He's 1 stolen base away from 20, so Mendez better keep an eye on him. And here is Ike Davis. Davis is a guy that I think Marlin fans have kept their eye on simply because he's been the Mets version of Gabby Sanchez. And as he climbs in, his numbers are very solid his rookie season. Add 31 doubles to that total. Driven in 69, hit 18 homers.
You know, overall, if you think about the Mets infield for next year, third base and shortstop taken care of. First base with Ike Davis. Just a question mark with the youngster, the 20-year-old Ruben Tejada at second base.
Ground ball back to Mendez. Fires to short. Got one. Fires to first. Nice turn by Hanley. Mendez got a sharp one.
Well, I'll tell you what I like. Great concentration. Cool as a cucumber out there. And he threw a strike to Hanley. He didn't hesitate. Didn't throw it into center field. It's our checkers double play of the game. And look at that. Perfect toss to Hanley. And look at how quickly Wright had to get down. He had to slide about 20 feet before he got to second.
Here is Lucas Duda. And he takes a fastball and pops it foul and out of play. Lucas Duda, the 7th round pick for the Mets back in 07 out of USC. 6'4", and a very small sample size for his major league career.
Very misleading. I mean, he had big numbers in AA and AAA. Hit 23 home runs, hit over.
Oh, my goodness.
There's some of that power there.
That is crushed deep to right and gone.
I'll tell you why it's misleading. He began his major league career 1 for 35. Now he's 6 for his last 11. And Lucas Duda showed us some of that power that he showed fans in Binghamton and Buffalo.
Out of Riverside, California. And he absolutely dropped the hammer on this fastball.
Fastball down and in. So many left-handers love that pitch in that area. And this ball was crushed.
Here's Josh Tolley. And he takes a ball. It's 1-0. If second base is a question mark for the Mets next year, certainly behind the plate going to be a question mark as well.
Yeah, it's been a good audition for Josh Tolley. He's certainly going to be in the mix.
Mendez with a breaking ball in the dirt. It's 2-1. Interesting path to the big leagues. Of course, the Cubs from 03 to 07, 5 years. Then the Marlins organization for 3 years. And mainly a reliever for his entire minor league career. This year flipped over after the second half to a starter. 330 relief appearances in the minors, only 20 starts. And he gets to the big leagues as a starter. Tolley jumps on that one, drives it to right center field. Stanton closing, diving, catching. Whoa, Mike Stanton. Great play by Stanton in right center field. 6'5", 240 with DB skills, man. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network, AT&T. Rethink possible. Mets have a run on a Lucas Duda homer. The Marlins got a terrific play from Mike Stanton. I know during the break you and I both thought no one was going to get to that ball until Mike Stanton closed and made the grab.
Just a great concentration. I looked up and I realized that Scott Cousins wasn't going to get there, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes Mike Stanton. Lays out, concentration, just tremendous athletic ability, and we've talked about that since he's been here.
Dan Uggla into center field, a base hit, and he hit it, Tommy, before we could even get the stuff out about Uggla and Pelfrey. Dan Uggla is now 12 for 27 against Mike Pelfrey. He's never homered against him, but he's driven in 10 runs.
Yeah, he's had a big year this year, Dan has, against the Mets. Uggla against the Mets this season, 6 home runs and 16 RBIs.
So here's Gabby with Uggla at first. Gabby takes a fastball up and in. 0 for 3 against Pelfrey. Marlins saw him in Puerto Rico when the Marlins and the Mets played that San Juan series, and they knocked Pelfrey around.
Yeah, he did not have a good outing. He got no decision, but 4 2/3 innings, he gave up 12 hits and 4 runs. But you know what? Anytime you win 15 games, you can break it up. He had a horrible month of July, had some bad starts, but when you win 15 games overall, you've had a solid year.
Of course, with Johan Santana out of the rotation with injury, Pelfrey has been the ace, and he's pitched well. An ERA of under 4. Two and 1 the count.
Big guy, 6'7", out of Wichita State.
Not a Wichita lineman, but a Wichita State shocker. 9th overall pick of the 2005 draft. Last year, 2 games under 500. He was 10 and 12.
Just thinking about it, if you were a lineman, you could be a shocker.
I don't think they do not have football there anymore, but that was the great, is that a Glenn Campbell song?
Yeah.
He was born and raised in Wichita, and then went to school there. It's certainly a great baseball school. Now he's 2 and 2. He throws up a changeup and misses down low, 3 and 2. Chad Tracy's on deck. Uggla has stolen just 4 bases this year. He's still playing with a little bit of a quad issue. Let's see if he's moving 3 and 2. He's running. And Gabby hits a high chopper right. Fair ball, throws across his body, safe there, and Uggla cruises into third. It's a base hit for Gabby, and the Marlins are set up 1st and 3rd and nobody out.
Good instincts and a good job by having Dan Uggla on the move. It keeps a double play, keeps you out of a possible double play. Good effort by David Wright, but he's going the other way, and hard to throw across your body with accuracy. Gabby Sanchez gets an infield base hit, but alertly, Dan Uggla follows that whole play and picked up the ball, picked up right, and was able to cruise into third base.
So Chad Tracy stands in. The Marlins have a chance to get on the board here in the bottom of the 2nd. Tracy 3 for 8 in his career against Pelfrey. And he takes inside. 0 for 3 in yesterday's ball game. .1-0, and it's down low.
Well, the Marlins have played well against the Mets this year. They've won 10 of 16 as they finish out the season series against the Mets these 2 nights.
Two pitches foul back to the screen.
And Rich, then it's on play the Milwaukee Brewers. And the last time the Marlins saw the Milwaukee Brewers,
they were in the American League.
It was June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Sorry about that. Here's the 2-1 coming to Tracy.
That was good.
It was fouled back to the screen. We have an email from Lori in Weston we've got to get to. She has a Fox Tracks question. Is Fox Tracks adjusted based on the size of the batter? Certainly Mike Stanton's strike zone is not the same place as Bonifacio's, for example. And yes, you're right. Each batter has his own unique strike zone on Fox Tracks, depending on his size. The box is the same size on the screen, but it adjusts to the hitter and his size in proportion to the hitter's strike zone.
Well, let's see if, speaking of the strike zone, if Chad Tracy gets a nice 3-2 pitch here.
Let's see if Gabby's on the move. Belfry set. Uggles at third. Gabby's at first. Gabby's not running. Tracy hits a little number up the first base line. Uggla's going to score, and Davis tags him out. Game is tied 1-1. And Gabby's out in scoring position at second base. Tracy picks up an RBI. For a limited time, you can win a private party for your office at the new Marlins Ballpark sales headquarters. Just email saleshq@marlins.com with your contact information to enter. Winners get a private catered party with mermaids, Marlins alumni, and more. 1-877-411-2012. Well, here's Mike Stanton. The breaking ball misses outside to Stanton. An anonymous email, actually from...
Always a little leery of the anonymous emails.
An anonymous email said Joe Frazzaro, in his blog, said that Mike Stanton had a liner that was still rising when it smacked a shatterproof window below the Joe Robbie sign in batting practice. Can you show us the sweep below the Joe Robbie sign? How far is it? We aim to serve. We'll get there after this 2-0 pitch. Stanton 2 for 3 in his career against Pelfrey. There's the fastball. There's the Joe Robbie sweep, and you can see
somewhere in there
a liner that was on the rise in batting practice.
And no surprise to, many times Mike goes into that upper deck above the Joe Robbie side.
Yeah, most of the balls that get in that upper deck are kind of on their way down. That one on the way up. Ground ball, right backing up. And he throws Stanton out. So Mike is out number 2. And Brad Davis comes up. Big moment in yesterday's ball game was when the Cardinals elected to walk the bases loaded. Intentionally walked Mike Stanton to bring up Brad Davis. Chris Carpenter fell behind 2-0. And then Davis got a cutter and pumped it out to left for a grand slam. The first grand slam by a Marlins catcher.
That was surprising. When I read that, I was very surprised. There's that 2-0 cutter. Nice swing by Brad Davis. You could see the head go down at Carpenter. He knew it was hit well. I think CJ hit a grand slam, but it was as a pinch hitter. But you think of the all-star type catchers, the all-star catchers with Benito Santiago, CJ, Pudge.
It's our Geico quote of the day. Mike Stanton's a little bit more of a home run threat than I am. They played the odds, and it worked out for us. Fastball in on his hands, and he fouls it back. It's 1-2.
talking to him before the ball game, both about Mendez' start and his grand slam. He said that in the last couple of days, he feels like his swing is starting to come back. He had about a 5 or 6 game stretch where he felt lost at the plate. Davis had an RBI double on Saturday night. High fastball.
You know, the other thing about his grand slam, it was the first one that Carpenter had allowed in over 6 years.
That's amazing to me. What's maybe even more amazing is that the Mets have allowed 12 this year. That's the most grand slams given up by a team since 2006. Check swing. Did not go. That's Brian O'Nora, the crew chief down there at first.
And even more amazing than all of that, the check it, is that Jim Palmer in his Hall of Fame career never allowed a grand slam.
Mendez is on deck. Let's see if Davis gets something here, 3-2. Fastball, and he nubs it out to Tejada, who makes the catch. Marlins get a run and tie this game. We are 1-1 through 2. Marlins, or email Tuesday night, foxsportsflorida.com, or ask the Marlins at fox.com. That's the email address, or foxsportsflorida.com. Click on the Marlins link, and then click on Ask the Announcers. As Adalberto Mendez faces Ruben Tejada. First pitch, breaking ball, a strike. Tejada to be followed by Mike Pelfrey and Jose Reyes. Tom may have an email here, and I think you'll like this one. It's from a Phillies fan.
Oh, it's okay.
Andy. Good. Andy, the Phillies fan. Popped up first base side. Gabby's in pursuit. And it's out of his reach. 50-year Philly fan. And watched the series last week between the Marlins and the Phillies and watched your telecast. First, it was wonderful to hear the name of Cookie Rojas and hear his insight on the games and experience. What a great Philly from the 60s. 0-2 pitch. Line into left field. Morrison over to get it. Plays it on a hop. Tejada is aboard. Secondly, as a Phillies fan, I never feel comfortable playing the Marlins. Always a strong lineup. Always a threat. And just as you had shared with the Phillies record over the past few years, I wish the Marlins the best. Hope the new ballpark will draw fans to your games. The greatest thing about baseball is that you're capable of seeing something special in every game. In the past series alone, you had two great defensive plays by Dan Uggla, the excitement of Logan Morrison, and the great pitching performance by Cole Hamels. I wish the Marlins and their fans the best, as long as it's not at the expense of the Phillies. Enjoyed the broadcast. That's Andy, the Phillies fan.
Andy, we thank you, and your Phillies took care of the Marlins this year. The Marlins won 5 of 18 against the Phillies this year.
And boy, is Cole Hamels still on a roll?
Wow.
Or what?
Cole Hamels beat Atlanta 3-1. He's 4-0 in September with an 0.63 ERA.
That's pretty good.
And get those guys on a roll, and another win tonight, they can put the Braves out of the shot of winning the East. The Braves are still leaders in the wild card, which sets up an interesting scenario that final weekend in Atlanta.
Yeah, you're right about that. Pelfrey's bunt. Gabby's going for 2. Got one there. Oh, yeah!
Oh, you don't see that very often.
How about that? Gabby Sanchez gambled. I'm sure it was Brad Davis that made the call from behind the plate. Hanley made a terrific pick, and then Ugla made a pick at first.
Oh, that's beautiful all around. This is a ball that if he lets it go, it goes foul. But because it was bunted so hard, there's Gabby spinning, the backhand pick, and then Hanley with the throw and a pick by Dan Ugla. 3-6-4. I guarantee you don't see that one very often.
Yeah, great play by Hanley on the turn. Reyes takes a strike from Mendez. Reyes lined out back in the first. Atlanta and Philadelphia are scoreless right now. Ground ball, fair ball, down the line. That's trouble. Stanton racing, Reyes running. Stanton picks it up. Reyes is headed for third, and Mike has a little trouble with it. Reyes is in with a triple.
Well, once he got that ball past Gabby Sanchez, Reyes with his speed, he was going to go to third anyway. The little bobble in right field by Mike Stanton allowed him to get there easier. It's a triple all the way. He's peeking over his shoulder. He knows right there he's going to third. Really didn't have to slide. And gets himself his 9th triple.
And up comes Angel Pagan. Phillies and Braves are scoreless. Bottom of the second.
But here's the point I was making. They get into Atlanta that final weekend of the season. The Phillies could have it clinched.
Right.
The Braves could still be in that wild card mix with San Diego, with Colorado,
Marlins
San Francisco.
Appealing second, and we saw in the replay that Reyes touched it.
So if you're the Phillies, you're setting your rotation, you're getting everything ready for postseason. It really makes for an interesting series.
Mendez misses outside. The Phillies have the best record in the National League. So if they've wrapped it up by that point, Tommy, they've probably wrapped up home field advantage as well, which would be, if they'd clinched the division, the only thing that might be in doubt.
Which is, you understand if they then start a Kyle Kendrick and others in that series and they rest Ryan Howard and Chase Utley a little bit. You understand that, but it does a disservice to the others who are fighting for that wild card.
Of course, in the Major League postseason, teams from the same division cannot meet. High pop. Over for it is Morrison, and it's out of reach. So the team that has the best record that wins a division gets to play, in theory, the weakest team out there, which is deemed the wild card team. But if the wild card is from your division, then the team that wins the division with the best record, if the wild card's in their division, they get the other division winner with the worst record. Liner to right, Stanton coming in. Mike is there, and he makes the catch at the knees on the run. He's been busy out there, that Mike Stanton.
Thank you, Rich. The Mets gave the Braves a bit of a gift over the weekend when Atlanta swept New York in the 3-game series, but they also gave manager Bobby Cox a gift, just as Houston did when he played or managed his last game in Houston. They presented him with cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. Well, the Mets gave him some wine. It was actually a Magnum bottle from Tom Seaver's collection. They presented it to him before Sunday's game, and they will be mailing him an entire case of the wine. But Tommy, I don't want you to get your wheels turning and starting to fake early retirement or something like that. I don't think you're going to get a case of wine, okay? Even if you try.
Rich gives me that after the season anyway.
Well, I don't think the Mets will get you one, but I know your wheels are turning up there.
I'll give you some nice Tom Seaver wine.
That would be wonderful. From the Napa Valley, yeah.
Well, Seaver owes you, or maybe you owe Seaver. for all the hits you got. Mike Pelfrey gets an out here to open up the bottom of the third inning. Scott Cousins and Logan Morrison come up now in a 1-1 game. Email from Robert. Now, this is the type of email you want with 13 games left with both teams out of the postseason. You want an email like this. Hey, guys. Cousins takes a strike. Over the season, I've noticed some Marlins look like other notable people. Here is my list. First off, Clay Hensley. What do you think Clay Hensley looks like?
I don't know, but I like this because I do this at airports and malls all the time.
He thinks that Clay Hensley looks like Paul Rubens, the actor of Pee Wee Herman fame.
Not bad. That's pretty good.
Burke Badenhop looks like a young James Taylor. There's JT on the right. We're looking for Pee Wee Herman. 1-2 the count on Scott Cousins. There's a 1-2. Sharp ground ball. Davis way off to get it. Flips the throw. Pelfrey and Cousins arrive at the same time. Pelfrey holds the ball. You see Nora calls him out. All right, there's
Clay Hensley, though, no police record. As Paul Rubens.
Oh, that was a bad rap. Paul Rubens is a very talented actor. All right, Cameron Maben looks like Boston Celtics point guard Rajon Rondo. Logan Morrison looks like a young Neil Young. That might be a stretch. I like this one. Tommy Hutton looks like NASCAR driver Mark Martin.
I have actually had people tell me that before.
Morrison called out on strikes in the first. There's Maben. Of course, he's the cousin to the McCants.
So there is a basketball connection.
Yes. Both McCants, Richard, and Rashonda, stars at North Carolina, playing in the NBA and the WNBA at this point. 0-1. Breaking ball misses inside to Lomo. We told you his streak is at 39, which got us to thinking it's not a baseball record that you ever hear of. Who holds the major league record for most games reaching base consecutively?
You have to think someone who not only was a great hitter, but someone who walks, someone with a terrific on-base percentage.
So we put our crack staff to it, led by Mets insider John Chimchuk, and he came up. 84 is the record. Ted Williams.
Yeah.
1949.
Criteria.
But it's not something that's not a streak. And it's amazing in the era of, Moneyball and on-base percentage and the value that has been placed on that over the last 8 to 10 years that I've never seen that number. Morrison drives it into left center field. That's 40 in a row for Lomo, and that's going to be another double. 19th of the season.
Well, we talked a little bit in the opening about incentives for a club that's out of it. There are some personal incentives. There's a beautiful swing. And some team incentives. You'd like to finish over 500. Personally, let's just say Logan Morrison runs out the table. He'd be at 52 consecutive games reaching base in the next 13 games. Talk about Dan Uggla trying to reach 100 RBIs. So Always fun to watch Logan Morrison swing, and there's a look at the streak as it's been this year.
Jeff Conine made a nice point on Marlins Live, and that is it's too bad that Morrison started his Major League career at the tail end of a season, because if you'd given him a full season, you'd be talking about the Rookie of the Year.
He'd be in the conversation. There's some great names on that list, by the way. Joey Votto, possible MVP candidate.
Is it just me, or is it every other home run that Votto hits is an opposite field shot?
I think I heard today he has 35 home runs. I believe 17 or 18 have been to the opposite field.
So I'm almost there.
Yeah, it's not just you.
Hanley getting the start after being out of the lineup with that sore left elbow. 1-0 pitch.
I got a good one for you, Rich. Just amongst the Marlins rookies alone, they've hit 87 doubles this year. Of course, we've talked about Gabby. Gabby's at 35.
You saw the bat go down, and that obviously not a good sign for Hanley. Anytime he gets full extension and brings that bat around with the one hand, it puts a lot of stress and strain on that left elbow. They're going to bust him in. Ground ball. Davis there. Pelfrey over. Inning over. A Logan Morrison double. All the fish have to show in the third. 1-1. Marlins, Adalberto Mendez facing Carlos Beltran. Second time through for Beltran. David Wright and Ike Davis against Mendez, making his third start in the big leagues. Works quickly. Change up is pulled foul. Gabby picks it up. Email Tuesday night. Manny says that since Logan Morrison is now definitely a Marlin, can you guys bring back the adventures of Logan and JJ on road trips? Because now you actually have another Logan.
Well, we've had lunch with Lomo, dine with Lomo at lunchtime.
Which has turned into a nice little promotion for us because he's an entertaining guy, and for him because he likes to eat.
Might have to have lunch with Lomo in Milwaukee. Have some brats. Certainly some cheese.
I think last we heard, Logan's father is planning on traveling to Milwaukee. His father, of course, undergoing chemotherapy, had to make that long train ride to New York. When last we saw him in New York, and in talking to Logan a couple weeks ago, his father was going to try to make the trip to Milwaukee to see the Marlins and the Brewers. It's a 4-game series up there.
And we look forward to seeing him. Tom Morrison.
Good guy, great story. And Tom, if you're watching, we hope that you're doing well and keep up the good fight.
And we hope we see you in Milwaukee.
And you've done right. You raised a great kid and a terrific ball player. Good job on buying that Charlie Lau book, by the way.
It's a good move.
Yeah.
Good investment.
Breaking ball strike.
Yeah, I like the strike zone. Victor Carapazza has been consistent. It's probably been a little pitcher strike zone, but you know what? Hitters have been aware of it.
Hey, I've got an email on umpires from Carol. It's kind of an angry email. 1-2 pitch. Good one. Breaking ball from Mendez. And down goes right.
Isn't it a little early for the angry email?
Well, it's not quite angry, but it
Okay.
brings up some interesting discussion points. And it's from Carol in Delray Beach. A lot of discussion on umpires regarding the accuracy of calls using instant replay. It's frustrating watching balls that should be strikes, strikes that should be balls, or outs that should be safe, and so on. Games are won by these calls. Postseason teams are determined by these calls. It's almost archaic to depend on the eyes of one man. Here is Ike Davis. It's a well-written email as well. Off the end of the bat, and that's going to nestle into right field. Stanton approaches. The Mets have runners at first and at second. We agree that it has to be difficult seeing a ball coming at 95 miles an hour. However, the umps seem to be untouchable, right or wrong. Once a call is made, that's it. Do they answer to anyone? Do they review tapes of the past games with tools such as Fox tracks? Are they ever reprimanded? And the answer to your questions there, Carol, number one is, yes, they do answer. The umpires have a union, and they are graded by umpire supervisors.
And they are reprimanded, but it's usually done quietly, and you don't really hear or read about it. But they are reprimanded. I'm sure there are some that pay a fine occasionally.
And the Fox Tracks technology is the same technology that umpires use to grade themselves and supervisors use to grade the nights of the guys behind home plate calling balls and strikes. This is Lucas Duda. He hit one in orbit in right center. The home run that has the Mets run of the night. Got a 2-0 pitch coming to him. Ground ball, Ugla. Got one there. Hanley's turn. Got two there. Nicely done. And the Marlins turn their third double play of the ball game. How about that? We'll continue with Carol's email when we get back. And who you going to call? 1-877-MAROONY. By South Florida Ford. Visit southfloridaford.com for great offers. By Checkers, little place, big taste. by Corona. Kick back, relax with an ice cold Corona and lime. Enjoy a Corona today. Sun Life Stadium, Fish and Mets. 1-1 ball game, bottom of the fourth. Here's that matchup again. Ugla against Pelfrey. He singled against him. It's a breaking ball that misses outside. Tommy, oftentimes we get asked how come teams don't put a big shift on against a right-handed pull guy, and the Mets have kind of a shift against Ugla on right now. 1-0 pitch is a strike. Ugla now 12 for 27 against Pelfrey. See how far the second baseman, Ruben Tejada, is over. Right where the umpire is standing between those two infielders is where Ugla singled back in the second.
One of the things we brought up, we talked about it, if you were to put the same picture in your mind, the same shift, the first baseman would be over where the second baseman usually plays. He wouldn't be able to get to the bag to make an out.
Well, that time Pelfrey gets the best of Ugla as Reyes is there to make the catch. There's an out. Here's our AT&T trivia question. Let's flip the phone. See what we got tonight. First Met to steal 50 or more bases in a season.
Not Buddy Harrelson. Well, Vince Coleman played with the Mets. Don't know if it was him.
Ricky Henderson was a Met, but
Ricky was there, but
don't know that it was in his salad days of stealing bases. Gabby takes a fastball up, and it's 1-0. Anyways, to finish the email from Carol about umpires and instant replay, there was a terrific article by Jason Stark online about a week ago about instant replay. And what Jason Stark did was he went to as many managers as he could get to. I think he got to 26 of the 30 managers and asked them if they would be in favor of instant replay. 4 managers didn't want to talk about it. Of the remaining 22, all but 2 were in favor of expanded replay. Here's the 1-1. And in that article, Stark also said something I think that you and I already know in talking to umpires around the league and supervisors. If you ask the umpires if they're in favor of instant replay, yes, the umpires are, but they don't talk publicly about it. And I don't think they've been told not to talk about it, but I just think as a policy, they don't talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a surprise that you find most of the managers are in favor, and certainly the umpires. I think where it gets sticky is you have to decide how to implement it.
Yep.
That's where I don't want to say it's a problem, because I think it can be solved, but you have to decide how you're going to implement the instant replay.
Gabby hits that one to center. Beltran is there, and he makes the catch. A lot of the managers in the Stark article talked about having a 5th umpire with the replay stuff in front of him, much like college football. And so if there is a play that's reviewable, he can quickly buzz down to the umpiring crew, take a look at it.
So the 4 guys on the field don't have to leave the field and
right.
go look at a replay. Yeah. An eye in the sky. I think the Dodgers were the very first team to have a former player. I think it was Joe Ferguson. Eye in the sky. He used to sit up in the press box in Dodger Stadium and, just maybe spot things that he could relay down to the dugout.
Some have said, well, why don't you use a challenge system like the NFL? But I think it was Jim Riggleman who brought up the point, is that you could go 20 games without a call that is one that you want reviewed. And then in one night, you could have 4 or 5 of them. And he said, because of that, what if you lose it? I mean, the whole challenge thing, it kind of defeats the purpose of getting the call right. Counts 1 and 2. So, I guess to summarize, The prevailing attitude is managers want it. Umpires don't publicly say they want it, but they would be in favor of it. Fastball is in. Bud Selig the other day said there would be no expanded replay for the postseason. Some had pushed for that. But I think it's in the discussion. Guys like Mike Scioscia and the other people that were on that 12-man committee.
I think you may see something come through during the next collective bargaining agreement, which I think is in a year or two.
After the 2011 season,
yeah.
After next year.
So you possibly could see some changes. I doubt you'd see changes before that. I think a good time to try it would be spring training. There are enough games played in spring training.
Heck, if it works in the Little League World Series, it should work in the major leagues. And it worked quite well in the Little League World Series, I might add. Pelfrey is over. Gets the flip from Davis. We played 4, 1-1. Marlins and Mets. Alberto Mendez facing Josh Thole, Ruben Tejada, and Mike Pelfrey. So Tommy Hutton, this is start number 3 for Mendez in the big leagues. First start, 6 innings. 1 hit, no runs. That was in Philadelphia. Second start, 4 1/3, 2 runs. He threw 86 pitches and 85 pitches in those 2 starts.
You know, I like the way, number one, he attacks the strike zone.
Thole flips it out to center. Cousins is out there, and he makes the catch.
With 3 pitches, no walks in this one tonight so far.
Let's flip that phone one more time. We'll get the answer. Who are you going with on this
I may go with Vince Coleman. I like that guess.
All right. I'll throw Ricky out there. Oh, Mookie Wilson. 1982. Here comes Ruben Tejada.
Yeah, Alberto Mendez has an easy motion. Nice fluid delivery.
That's smoked down the third base line. It's a fair ball. Tejada has his second hit of the night. Morrison in the corner. Ruben Tejada. A 1-out double.
Trying to make a statement that he's the Mets' second baseman next year. he won't turn 21 until October.
So for Mendez, you like a little more aggressive this time, and that's in talking to Brad Davis.
Now, before you make any kind of judgment, you have to see how it performs against teams that see him 2 and 3 times, and that's where it gets a little tougher.
Here's
and
Pelfrey.
Obviously, it was a little more of a struggle against the Phillies the second time than the first time.
Pelfrey hits it in the air to right field. Stanton is there and makes the catch. 2 down. Full season ticket plans in 2012 for the new Marlins ballpark are on sale now. Choose from a variety of seating areas and amenities. Several premium areas are almost sold out. Call the new Marlins ballpark sales headquarters at 877-411-2012 and set up your appointment. Now Reyes, he takes down low. Reyes tripled in the third, lined out in the first, so he's had 2 pretty good at-bats.
And tonight, certainly Mendez has been helped. One of them, he started himself by 3 terrific double plays. The Mets have had base runners every inning except the first inning.
Breaking ball misses inside. Email from Jeannie in Estero. Now that the Marlins, the city and the county have spent millions on a new stadium. 2-1 pitch is inside. With attendance being so low in the past few seasons, how will they go about getting more fans to fill the seats in the new ballpark?
Well, 2 things. The ballpark alone will help, and you have winning teams, and that always brings people to the ballpark.
Reyes walks, and so it's Pagan who's coming up with runners first and second. Well, you're right about the fact that the new ballpark is going to be an attraction, but and the Marlins have said this all along, they want to hit the ground running in that new ballpark and have a winning team.
And that will attract fans. But I think fans who've been used to watching the Marlins in a football stadium will enjoy the new experience in a ballpark.
Pagan goes after a fastball and fouls it back. I was at the ball game yesterday, an emailer writes, and I heard it was the fastest in Marlin history. What is the fastest in Major League history for a 9-inning game? That's a cracked staff question.
Well, I think you have to go way back before radio and television commercial breaks. And that's another era.
Our crack staff is going after it. We on the pregame show had a note. Here's the 0-1. Good pitch. And it's 0-2. Quickest game since '88.
Look at that, hour 39. I wonder, that had to be a Mark Burley start with the White Sox.
We will look that up. 2005. 0-2 pitch. Fly ball left. Morrison is back and there and makes the catch. 19-19, 51 minutes. Giants and Phillies. There you go. Nice job, crack staff. 13 games, including this one, left. It's an Alex Sanabia, Jonathan Nee start tomorrow. And for the Marlins to finish the season with a winning record, including tonight, they've got to go 8-5. That would put them at 82-80 on the season. You can live forward with just for men hair color.
Certainly doable.
Here's Mike Stanton. And he goes after a breaking ball and fouls it towards the Marlins dugout.
And then you look at teams such as the Twins. I was reading today the Twins' magic number is 2.
By the way, you were right. That was a Mark Burley start for the White Sox.
I remember when we were in Chicago for that series against the White Sox, Burley pitched one of those games. In their notes, they have the average time of his starts as he worked so quickly.
1 hour and 39 minutes. Burley got the win. He went 9 innings, gave up a run, struck out 12. Ryan Franklin pitched a complete game for Seattle. He went 8 innings. 1-2 coming. Pelfrey misses down low. One of our favorite sites, retrosheet.org.
I was part of a quick game in San Diego one night. Jim Cott against Randy Jones. Cutter moving away from Mike Stanton.
Stanton goes down. We check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Hey, thank you, Rich. You guys were talking about the 500 records and maybe finishing over 500. One thing for the Marlins next year to have a good season and going forward in the new stadium is play better at home. This has been a very strange year for the Marlins overall because they're the only team in all of baseball that is actually over 500 on the road but under 500 at home. And you see their record, by far, they have the best record among those teams that are under. If we can get one more look at that, under 500 at home. For Milwaukee is a 10 under overall, and Chicago, Cleveland, Washington are also on that list, but they are well under 500. The Marlins have just had one of those years where they haven't played well at home, and that's where you usually make up a lot of ground. The Marlins' road record, in fact, is the same as the first-place Giants in the West, but the Giants have played excellent at home. They're 15 over at home. They're going to have to change that. Normally, over the past few years, even with this roster, they've been a pretty good home club. Not this year.
Guys, I think a lot of that changes with the new ballpark.
Absolutely, because I think atmosphere has a lot to do when you're playing at home. I thought a big statement was what the Minnesota Twins did this year after having such tremendous home records when they're in the Dome. And they've played 50 and 25 games over 500 in their new ballpark.
And it's energy, and yeah. you talk to Marlin players about playing here in a 70,000 seat football stadium. Even when there's 30,000 people here, it's over half empty. 2-2. Davis cranks that one. It's going to be foul. I think that's why, just in the time in my 6 years here, especially with this core group that's been together since 2006. They tend to play better on a bigger stage in front of a bigger crowd when the energy and the buzz is palpable.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Hey, guys, how many times do we come, as Davis strikes out, how many times do we come off a road trip where you just came from Philly or New York, or, it's that buzz in the building, and then we come home that first Monday, and you can feel a letdown, even from our standpoint. The noise isn't as loud, you don't have the same buzz. And you're right. I think it does affect guys. I know guys like, for example, Ricky Nolasco. He thrives on that big crowd and people screaming. And all players enjoy that. And that's why in almost every sport, home field, home court, home ice is a big advantage.
And I agree with you, Rich. I think the new ballpark will make a world of difference.
Mendez is up. 0-1 coming from Pelfrey.
But one more year here in this one.
Steve Cishek in the bullpen. That Pelfrey pitch misses down low. The newest Marlin.
Yeah, Marlins have a couple of guys who have yet to make their major league debuts. Sandy Rosario and Steven Cishek.
Jason Worth has hit a 3-run homer, and the Phillies have a 3-0 lead over Atlanta. There's the 1-2. Worth was just getting hot when the Phillies left here.
And he has stayed hot.
Yes, he has. they become a whole different animal when he's hitting, because all of a sudden those left-handed bats, it makes a real nice complement in that lineup. Well, Mike Pelfrey and Alberto Mendez have been cruising here after both giving up a run. Still 1-1. Presented by authority of the fish, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. Mendez to Beltran. It's 1-0. Beltran, Wright, and Davis in the 6th. Email Tuesday night. Connor wants to know, looking back on the year, what was the most memorable moment for all of you announcers? Tom in Virginia want to know a little more about Allison Williams. Nice to see her on the telecast. Don't know a thing about her background. And we have an advanced scout from Milwaukee, Sarah and Leo. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Mequon, Wisconsin. But first, let's get to Allison. Allison, can you give us like your 25-second bio?
I think I could do that. And first of all, I'm flattered that anybody's curious. I'm a Michigan native, born and raised in a small town about 45 minutes west of Detroit. Came down here to attend the University of Miami and graduated from there. Was lucky enough to get a weekly sports gig on it was a weekly sports show. I was a feature reporter for them. That was my first job out of college. I've done sideline for college football, which I still do, and my first kind of real job with Fox Sports Florida was working on the Panthers broadcast, which I will also do again this year. So I've been very lucky to stay in South Florida. Love South Florida. It's home now for me, and it's been a great first year with the Marlins. It's been a lot of fun doing baseball.
Tom in Virginia, thank you for that.
And we enjoy having you, Allison.
Here's a pitch to David Wright. David takes outside. The advanced scout from Milwaukee says up here the Brewers are touting Friday night's debut of their highly regarded pitching prospect, Mark Rogers. Wright's going to bang that one deep to left over the head of Lomo. Plays it well, throws it to second, and holds David Wright to a single. How about that? Nicely done.
There was a time where Logan Morrison would get caught in between and get a little bit too close to that wall, and then he wouldn't be able to play to carry him. He pulls up nicely, realizes he's not going to make that catch, and then comes up and fires a bullet to second. That's a hard hit, long single for David Wright.
You watch Morrison in left, and yes, he's had some issues at judging fly balls and such. But there's no question he's a terrific athlete. Runner goes, Wright got a huge jump. Davis's throw is on it. Out! Don't know that Hanley ever tagged him. but the ball beat him, and Wright didn't offer an argument.
Well, that's a quick release by Brad Davis because Wright did, as you said, get a good jump. And that ball got to second base in a hurry. Hanley hung with it. I'm not sure either if he touched him, but he sold it well.
All right, Exmo, look.
Gets the jersey. Just a piece of the jersey before the foot got to the bag. And I'm sure Wright felt that. That's why he didn't put up much of an argument.
That's why we have Exmo. Good throw by Davis.
The Marlins have played some terrific defense in this one. I mean, the Mets have 8 base hits tonight.
Well, 3 double plays will help you out.
Double plays, erase those. Caught stealing is going to help.
And 2 of the 3 double plays were not the conventional kind. Hanley deep in the hole. This can be a tough play, and Davis is safe. Kind of crossed up the shift, so to speak.
Yeah, even Ike Davis beat that out. He does not have good speed at all. Doesn't get many infield base hits. Just out of the reach of Chad Tracy. I think Hanley thought Tracy might catch that ball, and was a little surprised that it got by Tracy.
So Sarah and Leo up in Wisconsin say Mark Rogers is going to pitch on Friday, one of the Brewers' top pitching prospects. And their follow-up question is, how do the Marlins prepare for a guy they've never seen before? Liner into right, Stanton on a hop. Davis will stop at second. Well, it's a good point because the Marlins get detailed advance reports and scouting reports. As Lucas Duda has another hit.
Right now, the Marlins have a terrific advance scout, Joe Moeller, former big league pitcher. And Joe will be in wherever Milwaukee's playing, seeing them play. And if he doesn't see that young pitcher, he'll get information from other scouts and other people who are there. And then he passes it along to the Marlins coaching staff, to Edwin.
Yeah, and in this particular case, for a pitching coach and a hitting coach, John Maley is going to have surgery tomorrow on his bicep. He tore the bicep. Uggla's there, and he'll make the catch. We'll fill you in on the Marlins hitting coach. Going to have a little surgery tomorrow. 1-1. Mike Stanton. It looks like no one's going to get this ball. And then Stanton. Wide receiver corner. Offered a full ride to USC. Signed with the Marlins instead. You can see he still has skills at 6'5", 240. The Frostbrewed Coors Light freeze can. That's one of the many great defensive plays by the Marlins. Look at the hits by the Mets. 10 of them.
Yeah, the Marlins could fill a defensive package of highlights just in this game alone.
Scott Cousins goes after a first pitch and flips it foul. And out of play, Cousins, Logan Morrison, and Hanley Ramirez in the bottom of the 6th against Mike Pelfrey.
Scott has gotten a few nice hits since he's been up in AAA at 285, had 14 home runs, and is a terrific outfielder.
He is. He may be the best defensive center fielder that the Marlins have now that Cody Ross is out of the system. And that one backs him off the plate. Anyways, John Maley, Marlins hitting coach, yesterday for batting practice. There's a ramp that is on the mound for batting practice. And John reached down to move it, and as he pulled up, he tore his biceps right off of the bone, so to speak.
There's another new Marlin, Sandy Rosario.
And I talked to John before the ball game.
Surgery on that.
He had his arm in a sling. He's in an incredible amount of pain, and he will have surgery tomorrow. And he said, hopefully, we'll see everybody in Milwaukee. Cousins flips that one to left field. That's a good start for the Fish. Scott around first, and a 1-for-3 night for Cousins. Now you got Lomo and Hanley coming up here at the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, only the second time tonight the Marlins have gotten that leadoff man on base. The first time they were able to bring him home, Dan Uggla, the second.
Logan Morrison stands in. Fastball is in. Morrison jumping out of the way. It's 1-0. FoxSportsFlorida.com, the site to go to. Click on the Marlins link, then Ask the Announcers link, or Ask the Marlins at Fox.com is the shortcut way to get to us. Ask the Marlins at Fox.com.
For a big guy, Pelfrey has a pretty good move to first.
Ed in Ocala has sent us an email. Hoping you finally read this email because the season's almost over and I want to hear my name on TV.
All right, Ed in Ocala. Okay, Ed.
There's a 1-0. Morrison takes up. His questions are, I've seen shots of the new stadium. I keep seeing a ocean-like blue, red, and white tiles on some of the interior pillars. Any news about those being new colors? I guess maybe he's talking about Marlin uniforms.
That one's been kept under a tight lid, the new uniforms. There will be some colorful concourses.
Out there. So the Mets get a double play of their own, something the Marlins have used 3 times tonight to get out of sticky spots. There are 2 outs, and here comes Hanley. Yeah, the tiles on the concourses, there'll be 4 distinct colors, and they'll represent the different areas on the concourse. It's one of the things I think that will be most impressive about the Marlins' new ballpark. The color scheme will be just incredible from what we've seen in the 3D seat view look. Lots of great color in that ballpark, as well as the exterior will be lit in a very colorful scheme as well. And unfortunately for Jim Holley, our director, it will not be maize and blue. Mr. Michigan.
Hey, by the way, we talked about this the onset of the game with Pelfrey. If he's on his game, he gets ground ball outs. Well, he's gotten 11 ground ball outs. And he has not walked anybody.
Hanley fouls that one back and out of play. Ed had a second part to his question. How come Villanueva was never called up this year? He pitched well. Was it due to contract?
See, up in Ocala, Ed knows Villanueva from his FSU days, I'm sure.
I know him from his Coral Springs days. He's a Coral Springs guy. But he and Kohler certainly had great years.
I think we will see both of those guys in spring training on the 40-man roster.
Hanley swings and misses, and you can see he's having trouble holding on to the bat with that sore left elbow.
Yeah, anytime Hanley's taking that full cut, which is just about every time he swings, that extension, the elbow flexes and flinches, and the bat comes out of his hand.
How would you pitch him if you were pitching to him now?
You really want to tie him up. Of course, you could spin something away, and if he here comes in. But see, he can actually get to without that full extension.
Yeah.
The one that's going to give him trouble is the cutter away that he has to go after and extend that elbow.
I'm with you on that. I think for both Kohler and Villanueva, talking to Mike Hill, they wanted them to have a full season in Double-A. Neither are on the 40-man roster.
Innings got up there for both of them.
And the fact that they pitched into the postseason, they don't want to add to their innings. There are many young pitchers around baseball. Jaime Garcia with the Cardinals is a great example, where teams all of a sudden in September are either shutting them down or slowing them down because they don't want such a huge jump in innings.
I would guarantee if the Padres were not in this thing, Matt Latos would be shut down.
2-2 pitches, strike 3 called. And the Marlins are done here in the 6th. Good pitching matchup tonight. Mike Pelfrey and Alberto Mendez. Mendez delivers to Ruben Tejada. He's been a tough out tonight. Tejada has singled and doubled. Tejada, Pelfrey, and Reyes. The Mets have 10 hits and just 1 run. 3 double plays by the Marlins. That's a strike, says Brian O'Nora.
And right now, Adalberto Mendez venturing into territory he's not ventured into, the 7th inning.
You're right.
And his pitch count very good, 74 pitches. Certainly the defense, the double plays, that's helped. This guy's giving him trouble tonight, though, Tejada.
By the way, a new member of our crack staff.
Who's that, Ed in Ocala?
No, Cullen McRae in the clubhouse.
Okay.
Marlins video coordinator. Liner to center, Cousins is there.
He's a traveling member of the crack staff.
He is, and he apparently has video of the Brewers' highly regarded prospect, Mark Rogers, ready to rock and roll. He says he has access to an archive of minor league pitchers, and Rogers is one of the guys he's got.
And that is why Cullen McRae is the #1 video coordinator in baseball.
Here's Pelfrey. Here's a question for you from Lewis in Boca. How about a see-through screen in front of the on-deck batter to prevent injuries like the one that happened to Logan Morrison or the one that ended the career of Juan Encarnacion? You know what?
I mean, those things are dangerous. They're serious. You're talking about over 100 years a guy has stood in the on-deck circle. Mm-hmm. And and one guy's career's over. As sad as it is for Encarnacion. If you start putting up screens and see-through things, it gets in the way of catchers going after pop flies. Let baseball, in some way, stay the way it is, and don't modernize it too much. That's just an old guy speaking.
All right, I'll take the other.
I don't even care if the coaches wore helmets. They do, because a coach,
Mike Coolbaugh,
was killed. And it was an awful thing in the minor leagues. Since that time, all coaches have worn helmets.
That ball's well hit, and Tracy has it and fires over to first. All right, another topic that we haven't had a chance to discuss, and thank goodness he's all right, but that scary scene with Tyler Colvin.
I would do something about the bats
on Sunday.
Before I do anything about the on-deck.
There's been some great articles. Rob Nyer had a nice column about it. R. David V. has something on Maple Bats on FoxSportsFlorida.com. But you got to do something about the Maple Bats. You just can't.
Because we see it night in and night out.
Yes. Reyes runs up with 2 outs and takes down low. And I think Nyer's point is a good one. If the Players Association wanted him out, they would be out. And would you agree with that?
Yeah. And the tough part with the Players Association, you have guys who have, ever since they've been in the big leagues, used Maple bats. And it's really hard to make a guy change when that's all he's ever used. I think you have to start it in the minor leagues, work it on up, and it's going to take a few years, so everybody's using ash.
And it was a Maple bat on Sunday. In case you haven't seen it, this was the swing by Wellington Castillo, and of course Colvin was looking back at the ball, and thank goodness it did not hit him in the face.
Well, he had the presence of mind to just keep his balance and go in and score.
He was taken to a hospital. He required sutures. They had to put a stent, I think, in to prevent a collapsed lung. There was not a lot of external bleeding, but obviously the physicians here at the ballpark,
they were more concerned internally.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is out for the rest of the season, which is unfortunate.
And we wish him all the best. That terrific rookie season.
Colvin, a very classy statement as he left the hospital. He wanted to thank everybody that was involved, from the paramedics to the Marlins medical people to the people at the hospital. I think he went down to Jackson.
I think it was Jackson Memorial, yeah.
He said that he got first-class treatment. Angel Pagan now.
Heads up with Reyes at first base. He has 30 steals.
No, you're not kidding. And he's got a big lead. Mendez chases him back.
And then you also have to wonder about in the country, is there enough ash to supply wood for bats?
Sorry,
that's another question.
JM Lexus leaders of the game, the Mets. They've done one thing right this year: it's steal bases. Well, there are ways to make composite bats that
there have been some that have been made. Yeah.
Yes, that react and act as wooden bats do, and not as aluminum bats do. Yeah! Brad Davis throws out Jose Reyes.
Bullets from BD.
He's thrown out 2 base stealers in this one. Threw out Wright, and he throws out Reyes.
Well, there's not a whole lot to summarize in this one. A Lucas Duda blast, his second home run as a major leaguer, put the Mets up 1-0. A little infield chopper and infield out by Chad Tracy allowed Dan Uggla to score. But a lot of great defense. How about Mike Stanton in right field? How about this double play? 3-6-4 and picks at both ends. How about Brad Davis? He's thrown out 2 base runners, David Wright and Jose Reyes, in this one tonight. Defense galore.
Here is Uggla. Third AB against Pelfrey. He singled in the second. A broken bat pop-up in the fourth. Uggla sitting on 31 homers, one shy of a career high. He already has a career high in RBIs at 96. And a slider is off the plate from Pelfrey. A ball and a strike. This is a matchup that Uggla has won traditionally. He's 12 of 28 with 10 RBIs. No homers against Pelfrey.
Well, Pelfrey doesn't allow a lot of home runs. He's only allowed 11 home runs this year in over 180 innings.
1-1. Uggla got it off the end of the bat. Davis got a late start after it, but he's there and makes the play. So 1 out for Pelfrey here in the 7th. Gabby Sanchez, Chad Tracy also scheduled to appear. Tristan from Madeira Beach. Whatever happened to the mother of all scoreboards? Well, the Marlins have fallen out of contention, and the mother of all scoreboards, we have yet to unveil it this year. The Phillies have a 3-1 lead over Atlanta in the bottom of the 5th. Gabby swings and misses.
And that is a Roy Halladay start.
Giants are on the road in Chicago, delayed by rain. Zambrano against Kane if they get it in tonight. Cardinals are down in Pittsburgh 5-2. Gabby pulls one by right, and down the line it goes. Round first. Gabby Sanchez, his rookie leading 36th double of the season.
Tell you what, he's hit the ball well all night. Had an infield base hit and then flied out deep to center field and snuck this one by David Wright. Gabby has a way of staying right on a ball that's in on him. Clears the hips very well. Keeps that ball fair, and it stayed down on Wright.
Here's Chad Tracy now. Trying to draw a comparison for Gabby Sanchez to other hitters in the big leagues. Is there a hitter that you compare him to, stance and swing?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one because he has a unique way of hitting. I'd have to put some thought to it because it's a unique way. I don't know how to describe it.
One guy that I thought of, and he has a different stance and he hits from the other side of the plate, is Raul Ibanez in terms of the gap-to-gap power. Gabby has similar power to right center and left center in terms of the gaps. But he's a tough guy to duplicate, isn't he?
Kevin Youkilis come to mind, maybe?
Yeah?
But, I mean, a different stance and everything. But you know what? He gets the job done, and that's all that counts.
Pelfrey 2-0 on Tracy. This is pitch number 100 coming from the big right-hander. And a sweeping breaking ball.
Hasn't thrown that too often, but a good pitch. Most of his pitches, the cutter, the sinker, upper 80s, lower 90s. That he took something off and threw a slow breaking ball, slow curve ball.
Two-one coming, and it's up. This is an email we've been waiting for about a week and a half from our friends in Texas. Rich, Tommy, Craig, and the entire Fox Sports Florida crew, we just want to say thanks for a memorable weekend. You made us feel like family. We stayed 2 more days after you all left, and it was sure lonesome. Please let John and the guys in the truck say, please tell them thanks as well. Tracy does pull a slow roller that Tejada scoops and flips and gets the out, and that's from Gary and Marilyn Grable. Grables, of course, were with us in Washington, D.C. They bought that trip in the FS Florida Fantasy Auction.
See, we need next year, when we open up the fantasy auction and have a trip, we need a testimonial by Gary and his wife to. I enjoyed meeting them. I mean, I know they had a good time, but I know you and I enjoyed meeting them.
Well, all we have to do is, and I'm sure we will for the auction next year, have the video highlights of their trip going to the Capitol building with Jeff Conine, having pizza with Craig Minervini, coming to the booth, watching batting practice, all of that. So right back at you, Gary and Marilyn. Here's Stanton with a runner at third in a 1-1 game with 2 outs in the 7th. And Pelfrey misses away with a breaking ball. We'll see how careful Pelfrey is if he goes after Stanton. He struck him out in the 5th. Stanton bounced out a sharp grounder to third in the 2nd. He's not throwing him anything straight.
Then again, he probably read the notes of the game yesterday when Chris Carpenter and the Cardinals intentionally walked Mike Stanton to get to Brad Davis, who then hit a grand slam.
Remember, he threw a 2-0 breaking ball to Tracy. Breaking ball to Stanton, and he fouls it off.
Yeah, it's that cutter. Runs it away. Good location.
Mets bullpen is up now with Descends and Feliciano.
That's the Mets A team in the 7th, 8th inning.
And the Marlins A team is in the process of getting loose. Like Jose Veras is down in the pen, ready to go as well. 2-1 coming to Stanton. To third, off of Wright's glove, and a run will score. And the Marlins lead it 2-1.
I'll tell you what, David Wright approached that ball oddly. I think he was trying to get the short hop. He saw Mike Stanton hit a ball to him in the 2nd inning that was a hard hit, top spin ground ball. So I think he was trying to come up on it to get it on the shorter hop. And again, Mike Stanton hits ground balls harder than anybody. They have that top spin, and you saw right there what it did to David Wright. And for Wright, that's his 20th error on the season.
So no RBI, but the Marlins take the run. Look at that. Most errors by third baseman this year. You got 3 guys on that list. If we could throw that list up there again, 3 guys on that list that can make the spectacular play for sure. Wright, Reynolds, and Zimmerman.
Guys who all have strong arms.
That one misses down low. Now, I'm going to throw out all the metrics, the defensive metrics, and I'll pick a guy out of that group, and that's Ryan Zimmerman. Placido Polanco has the best fielding percentage in the National League at third base. Who would you rather have at third, Polanco or Ryan Zimmerman defensively?
Are you talking just defensively?
Just defensively.
I still think I'm...
Oh, that one goes under Reyes's glove. Stanton on his way to third.
You know, I know where you're going, but I still think I'd pick Polanco because Polanco in a 3-2 game in the 9th inning is going to make that play.
Okay.
And spectacular, a little more range. Zimmerman might do it. So the left side of the infield melding down for the Mets here in this 7th inning. An error by Wright, an error by Reyes. And the Marlins have taken the lead and have a chance to add on.
And that's going to mean a couple of things. Number one, it's a visit from pitching coach Dan Worthen. Number two, Alberto Mendez is out of the game because Wes Helms has come off the bench to pinch hit. So Pelfrey deserted by his defense here. Back-to-back errors by Wright and by Reyes. And here is Helms. This has not been a good year for Helms as a pinch hitter. He has hit better as a starter, which of course kind of goes against what his career numbers have been, especially as a Marlin. Fastball misses down low. Helms as a pinch hitter is just 5 for 38 with 3 RBIs. Stanton with Davis across the diamond. Now Pelfrey's up over 110 pitches now, 111, and he's 2-0.
Yeah, and think about it. This is not of his doing. He has done what he does best, get ground balls, and the one was mishandled by Reyes, and the one mishandled by Wright.
Helms hits a ground ball out to second. Tejada to first. In time. Marlins get a run, an unearned one, but it's 2-1. Marlins and Pirates. Gate B opens at 5:30 for all dog owners and dogs. Arrive early for a special pup rally. All proceeds from dog tickets will benefit the Humane Society of Greater Miami and Broward County. It's one of our favorite nights, and we're doing it twice this year. 1-877 Marlins. Didn't we have 1,600 dogs?
Oh, we had a great turnout.
Although I will say this. Bark at the Park won this year. I was disappointed that the Dachshund with the mini batting helmet was not in attendance. So if you're out there, Dachshund with batting helmet, make sure you're here on Friday the 1st. Here's Jose Veras in a 2-1 Marlins lead. Angel Pagan, Carlos Beltran, and David Wright.
Well, the Marlins got their gift in the bottom of the 7th. The unearned run. Now let's see if the bullpen, Veras, and then Clay Hensley can do their job.
Pagan shortens to bunt, and he takes inside. Veras, as we talked about this weekend, especially against this Mets team, who goes switch hitter, switch hitter, switch hitter to start the lineup, and then has 3 lefties after Wright. To have a guy like Veras who can get lefties out it's almost better than having a lefty stopper because he can get lefties and righties out.
You brought up the number the other day. Lefty's hitting 127 against Jose Veras, 9 for 71, and no home runs. Tell you what, though, righties aren't that much better, 213.
But he's fallen behind here 2-0 in a spot where obviously he wants to throw strikes and keep Pagan off base. And Veras is all over the place.
Not a good sign when you see a guy come out of the bullpen and miss so badly with the first 3 pitches.
Randy St. Clair watching as the bullpen sets up now. Veras is kind of the 8th inning guy, and of course Clay Hensley is the closer. There's a strike. I'm with you. I think that Vic Carapazza, the rookie umpire behind home plate, has had a very good night. He's been consistent. Popped up. Left center. Logan Morrison is there and makes the catch. Back to our email bag, Tommy.
Go ahead.
This is from our good friend Boone, and he said, Tommy, my entire family has been worried sick about you being unemployed in the offseason. Then we saw this place, and now we feel much better.
Yeah, it's I try to get there every morning and then stay through lunch, and I stay through lunch.
Is that your wife in there fixing the crawfish?
No, I think that might have been Grandma Hutton or something.
It's a strike, and it's 0-1. You must park the trailer around back of the house. I have not seen that before.
You've not seen that. Actually, it's not allowed in my community. Tried to park it in the driveway one night.
Yeah, and you got a letter from the Homeowners Association. Dear Mr. Hutton.
I got a notice slapped on the windshield.
0-2 to Veras. Beltran takes outside. Veras just missed.
Tried to catch that outside corner with the breaking ball.
You can see on our Fox Tracks, brought to you by Toyota, that it missed outside. We talked a lot about the Cubs and all the money that they're under still in the next few years for contracts of fading players. The Mets, as you see Feliciano in the bullpen, are on the hook for $18.5 million for a full season of Beltran next year. A nice changeup. Beltran goes down. Veras. Is that the pitch that makes him so good against the lefties?
Absolutely. If a right-hander, and we'll talk about it tomorrow night with Alex Sanabia, when a right-hander has good changeup, and if it's a good one and he keeps it down, he'll have success against lefties. Sanabia, the same thing. Tomorrow night, we'll see him. If he has his good changeup, he'll have some success against the left-handed batters.
We have to ask Veras why he taps his head with the baseball like that. We'll put that on our list of things to do before tomorrow night's telecast.
Our to-do list before the season ends.
Yes, it's coming up. After tonight, just 12 games left. Marlins trying to get a win here and pull themselves back even 500 at 75 and 75 and drop the Mets 3 under. David Wright jumps on one. Fastball, right field, deep, and gone. 2-2. The power is back in David Wright's swing. It's 25 now in the season and a 3-hit night here tonight.
Well, a big night. He made the error that allowed the Marlins to take the lead, and he quickly made up for it with that opposite field home run. And think about it. Veras retired the 2 left-handed bats and then leaves the fastball up David Wright, when he gets extension, he hits home runs to the opposite field as well as any right-handed hitter.
Ike Davis now.
And unfortunately, Alberto Mendez was in line for a win, had the lead held up.
That will add to the Marlins' seasonal total of blown saves, which we'll have to double check, but I think it's around 24 now. And at last look, it was leading the majors. 25, we're told.
Ozias Manzanilla used to tap himself with the ball, but not on his head.
Here's the 1-1. I'm not even going to try to get you out of this one. You can go ahead and explain.
Well, we talked about it the other night.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You're leaving me open for this one.
Well, yeah.
He took a comeback or a line drive as a pitcher.
And I was at that ball game.
And when he was he with Seattle?
He was with Seattle. He got a line drive in the groin.
In the groin, and he was not wearing protection.
He was not wearing a protective cup.
So ever since then he did, and he used to get the baseball and tap himself on that protective cup all the time.
You handled that very nicely. 2-2 to Davis. And it's inside. The count's 3-2. There's Lucas Duda. I will tell you, watching that scene when he got hit, the most amazing thing was he was down for a good 5 minutes. And in obvious agony, all of a sudden he popped up and sprinted off the field, leaving the trainers and the managers and everybody out by the mound. Ugla flips on to first in time. And Davis is out, but David Wright goes out and ties the game with a solo shot, 2-2. On Wednesday, February 16th, 2011 at Parkland Golf and Country Club. Say hi to Dave Salerno while you're there. Marlins players, coaches, and other celebrities will be there for a fun-filled day of golf benefiting the Marlins Community Foundation. 1-877-MARLINS. Or log on to marlinsfoundation.com.
Always a great time and always great hosts at Parkland.
Maben is coming to the plate. Maben is going to pinch hit for Scott Cousins.
They have the left-hander out there, Feliciano. Feliciano making his 85th appearance.
So it's Maben, Morrison, and Hanley. I just noticed this, Tommy. Look at where Logan Morrison is standing.
Compared to the on-deck circle, which is right here.
And even most players don't stand on that. They stand on the grass, that patch right there. Morrison doesn't want anything to do with that spot anymore. And you know what?
And that ball almost went over his head.
Wow. He might as well go swing in the clubhouse. Watch this. No swing. One emailer wanted to know if Brian O'Nora was related to Rex Ryan. And there was no swing. It was a good call by the first base umpire. I don't think he swears as much as Rex Ryan. Here's the 2-2. That one's going to be playable. Davis is there, and he makes the catch. So Maven pops out, and now Lomo makes the long walk from the dugout to the plate. Our Toyota Trend. The Marlins have used a Major League high 19 rookies. 14 have made their Major League debut, including one Logan Morrison, who has doubled in 3 trips, 40 consecutive games where he's been on base. Feliciano throws a strike. Feliciano notoriously tough on lefties. Morrison notoriously good against lefties. This is quite a matchup. Chopper, Davis. 2 outs. Jerry Manuel on his way out to the mound. He doesn't want the lefty to face Hanley, so he's going to go to his bullpen. Last we checked, that was Elmer Descends down there. And he's coming in. So Feliciano gets both outs he was asked to get. Here is our Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Marooney!
And the Marlins tied 2-2 with the Mets. Hanley faces Descends, who throws a strike. It's 0-1. We've seen Hanley grimace in pain when swinging. He's dropped the bat on a few occasions. That left elbow appears to still be bothering him. And if it continues to bother him, you wonder how long he'll be able to go as this season winds down.
Yeah, it's almost you have to zero in. Sometimes a hitter will become a better hitter with an injury like this. This and the slight rib pull. If you just are really selective and you stay away from that pitch, sometimes it makes you stay away from that pitch and get that one pitch during the at-bat. And if you hit it squarely, then it shouldn't bother that elbow.
As a hitter, can Hanley cut down on his swing to protect the elbow?
Well, then he's going to become a different type hitter, and you start to change things. And so you got that one pitch.
Yeah, and he still hurt himself on that swing.
Because swinging a bat is a violent motion. I was reading about Josh Hamilton. They found he's been out for a while, and he's got 2 cracked ribs. And they weren't sure. They just found out that he had the cracked ribs. And that's going to be tough if he's not available for the Rangers for postseason.
He ran into a wall, I want to say the 4th of September. Hanley drives it into center field. That's a base hit. So through the pain, Hanley has himself his first hit of the night. And the Marlins have a base-stealing threat. With Hanley aboard, you can still see the pain on his face.
But I think he has to try everything possible to try to get to second base in scoring position early in the count to allow Dan Uggla a few shots.
5-2 Phillies over the Braves, by the way, in the bottom of the 6th. Uggla against Descends.
Outfield will take a few steps back. I mean, the left fielder, Lucas Duda, is a step or 2 from the warning track. They're going to try to cut anything off into those gaps. A gapper will score Hanley. The Mets and Elmer Descends thinking that same thing about Hanley.
We've had a couple of questions about Rookie of the Year and eligibility tonight. Stacy from fiststripes.com and Jeffrey and Jazz from Fort Myers. Uggla takes a strike. It's 0-1. Wanting to know if Logan Morrison and Mike Stanton would be eligible next year, and what's the cutoff for Rookie of the Year?
No, they won't be. I believe the cutoff's about 135 at bats, and they both have well over that.
There are some guys that have appeared in the big leagues for a couple of seasons and still been rookies. I think Giovanni Soto is one of those guys where he appeared in a small amount of games in 06, small amount in 07. Actually caught in some very important games in 07 in September, and then won Rookie of the Year in 2008. Of course, I could be completely wrong, but that's just top of the head.
I'll take your top of the head before I take my top of the head right about now.
Hanley would take a stolen base right about now. Clay Hensley's ready in his location. Descends to the plate. Uggla lines it into center field. That's going to fall, base hit. Hanley rounds second, stops there. And the Marlins have runners at first and second. Here comes Gabby.
Well, a 2-hit night for Dan Uggla. Goes down, takes that pitch straight away with no problem. Drops it in front of Carlos Beltran at center. Brings a good man to the plate because Gabby Sanchez looks locked in tonight.
Just checking on Giovanni Soto's numbers. He had a plate appearance in 05, 26 plate appearances in 06, 60 plate appearances in 07, so he was under the minimum. And then in 2008, won Rookie of the Year.
Somebody was asking us, Stu, the other night about to be eligible for the batting title, you have to have 502 plate appearances. Now, you might not have 500 at-bats, but you appeared at the plate, so you walked or were hit by a pitch. Someone was asking about Omar Infante at the time.
Well, and Gabby is, of course, eligible this year, even though he appeared in 08 and 09. He had 29 at-bats combined the 2 years previous to this one. Singled and doubled, adding to a very nice resume that certainly will get looked at and discussed when the Rookie of the Year award is given.
He has had a terrific year against the Mets, too. Gabby came into this game with a .383 average and 12 RBIs this year against the Mets.
1-0 from Descent. You saw Descent's ERA is under 2, so he's been a bright spot for the Mets. And pitching necessarily hasn't been the weakness of the Mets. Their ERA's kind of been in the middle of the National League most of the year. They've lost Santana.
You know, that hurt, certainly. John Maine, the whole Oliver Perez thing.
They just have not scored runs. Has Perez pitched in the last month and a half? A strike. Gabby didn't like the call. Oliver Perez has pitched once this month, pitched twice in September. What's he making, $12 million?
Thereabouts.
1-2 pitch, driven deep left field. Get out of here, ball! Gone! Blue Cedar, 3-run shot.
Do it, Gabby! How about RBIs 79, 80, and 81 for Gabby Sanchez? Home run number 19. Nice little display tonight with a couple of rookie first basemen, Ike Davis for the Mets and Gabby Sanchez for the Fish.
I know Buster Posey is having a great year, but you put Gabby Sanchez numbers up against anybody, and he's right in there. 81 RBIs now. That leads all rookies. 19 home runs. He's one behind the rookie leader. Here is Luna. 5-2 Fish.
Boy, he knew it when he hit it. It was one of those, looked like he got a fastball, middle of the plate. Watch his front side. He keeps his front side in so well. Hector Luna pinch hitting for Veras. This was the spot in the order with the double switch with Veras hitting.
There he is. He's 10 ahead of Hayward. Ike Davis is next on that list. But of course, Gabby has been out of the limelight throughout the season.
This coming after 2 outs. Feliciano came in, got his 2 outs. Jerry Manuel went to the veteran Elmer Descends, and the Marlins have done all the damage off him.
Hanley gutted out a base hit with the sore elbow. Ugla followed with a liner into center. And now Gabby gives Clay Hensley a save opportunity. Takes Veras off the hook after his blown save.
We did have an email about our favorite moment for us. You know, I'm thinking about the Donnie Murphy walk-off home run. I'm thinking about Mike Stanton's grand slam, his first home run. I'm thinking about Roy Halladay's complete game.
Hector Luna lashes one to left. That's off the wall. Luna around first. Good strong throw, and Luna is safe. Lucas Duda made a good throw from left. And Luna gets the double.
And the Marlins have put 4 straight hits now against Elmer Descends. The big one by that guy right there, Gabby Sanchez. Good to see Hector Luna. Hasn't had a whole lot of opportunities. Last couple of times up, hit a home run the other day. So good to see him have some better at-bats and get some results with those at-bats. Luna had a home run in that 13-3 loss to the Cubs.
Here now is Stanton. Well, the Halladay perfect game is certainly a big moment. That's for sure. Sean Green. I think the Donnie Murphy walk-off home run.
That's the most exciting.
To me, yeah, was the most exciting moment.
I mean, there are some memorable moments. Certainly we'll remember that perfect game and Mike's grand slam. But, yeah, that was the most exciting.
Stanton pops it up. David Wright to the tarp makes the catch. 2-out rally. A Hanley hit, an Ugla hit, and a Gabby blast. And it's 5-2. On the board in the bottom of the 8th for the Marlins, a Gabby Sanchez home run. He's all smiles at first. And now Clay Hensley needs to get 3 outs. Maben stays in the game. He's in center field. And here is Hensley.
Well, we've seen Clay a couple of times in non-save opportunities after he had that busy weekend.
Hensley facing Lucas Duda.
Hensley had the 3 saves in a row in Washington. His first major league save on the 10th of this month.
Gets a strike. It's 1-1. Duda homered in the 2nd. Bounced into a double play. Singled in the 6th.
See, Hensley has an assortment of pitches. We're talking about right-handers with a good changeup that can get left-handers out. Hensley has the changeup, fastball, and curveball. And against Clay Hensley this year, lefties hitting just 222, right-handers hitting below 200, 178.
Gets the first out. We check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich, Clay Hensley's a big fan of the hit cable television show Burn Notice, which is on USA Network and now in its 4th season. The other day on the off to get a chance to go down to the set. It is set here in Miami, and took his wife, and they actually asked him to appear in a stunt scene, but he said, you know what, guys, I might be pitching tonight, so I think I'll have to decline that, but maybe a future role down there or a guest appearance. But I think tonight, he told me before the game, he thinks that the producer and the producer's wife and Clay's wife are here watching the ball game tonight.
That's a good show.
And
I enjoy that show too.
There was a trip there where Clay watched, I think one of our West Coast trips, he watched about 7 or 8 in a row on the trip across. But it is a hot show, Burn Notice, and Clay's a big fan, even bigger fan now that he got to go on the set.
Well, and we had the star of that show on a telecast earlier. He was out to throw the first pitch out, was up in the booth. You saw the glove that he's got, and the name Quinn, that is the name of his son that was born in early April. Remember, because of spring training, he was battling to make the team, and his wife was pregnant. And
remember, you go back to spring training, he was a starter.
Yeah.
He was starting games.
He did not, I don't think he got a chance to see his newborn son until the team got to Houston, I want to say.
Yeah, it was about a month and a half into the season.
So Sanavia has got a glove that says Mitre on it, and Hensley has got a glove that says Quinn on it.
And a tough year for Clay Hensley, who lost his father during the season. So it's been a, you think about the trials and tribulations, ups and downs of just a person that's going through life. Now you put yourself in a major league job, and his job trying to get hitters out. You still go through all those things, and you have to come to work.
2-2 on Josh Tolley. Hits one in the air to right. Stanton goes back. It's hit pretty well. Mike at the track makes the catch. A lot of balls out to Stanton in this one. Of course, he made the great diving catch to open the night, and he's been busy since.
Well, there are going to be a number of stories in this game. Certainly Gabby Sanchez, Adalberto Mendez, and then defense. It's been a huge story in this one tonight.
Here's Chris Carter. Yeah, the Marlins with 3 double plays in 3 consecutive innings. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Chris Carter has been the Mets version of Ross Glode. 14 pinch hits this year.
Hensley misses. Clay trying to nail down the save. He went 1-1. It would be a Jose Veras win. This would be one of those odd games where you would have a blown save and a save in the same game.
And the oddity that Jose Veras, who gave up that home run to blow the save, to get the win.
Veras has been very good this year. 1-2 coming. Ground ball up the middle. Dive by Hanley. Can't get it. It's in the center. And so Carter has himself another pinch hit.
Now Jesus Feliciano will be the hitter.
Just to keep you updated, the Phillies have a 5-3 lead over Atlanta in the bottom of the 7th. Here tonight, the Marlins getting a 3-run homer from Gabby Sanchez. And some terrific defense all around. And a chance to get back to 500. Ground ball, this should do it. Uggla gobbles it up, flips to first, ball game. Hensley saves it. Gabby wins it with a 3-run shot. And our South Florida forward spotlight shines on Gabby Sanchez, Miami's own Rookie of the Year candidate, adding to his candidacy with 3 hits tonight, his 36th double, his 19th homer, and he's driven in 81 runs this year. 2 hours and 28 minutes worth of baseball for you tonight. Fish win it by a score of 5-2. We'll wrap it next.